Assalamu alaikum here. This is YouTube channel of mine, and you're watching Nadia Mirza. Today is 27th October, and we all know, as we all remember, and as we all know that what is the exactly 27th December in Kashmir, and by the citizens of Kashmir, they do celebrate the 27th October as a Black Day from since 1947. And what is the reason? That was the day slavery started, and the Kashmir, India occupied Kashmir by the India, and after the all we have seen since 1947, there is slavery over there. There's brutality. We can see the brutality of Indian army over there, and it's going on, despite of very often resolutions in the United Nations and in other forums as well. But there is nobody to take notice, to take action, and to ask what the human rights violation is being done over there. Again, we are discussing what are the hurdles. It's not being taken. What are the issues? Nobody is noticing. So we have the panel, very valuable panel, very knowledgeable panel we have. And today we will be discussing what are the core issues and what are the core hurdles. We have Abdul Basit sir, Pakistani diplomat, former Indian High Commissioner of Pakistan to India. Thank you very much, Basit sir. And I really welcome you up. Nice having you. Dr. Maria Sultan Sahaba, Chairperson and Director General, South Asian Strategic Stability Institute, expert international strategic studies. Welcome,
Thank you.
Dr. Maria. And General Amjad Shoaib Saab, Senior Defense and Political Analyst. Assalamualaikum, General Saab. Thank you very much for your time as well. So, if General Saab and Dr. Maria allow me, I would like to start from Abdul Basit Saab. Abdul Basit Saab, you know the dynamics very well because you have been served. So do let me know and do let the audience know. Since 1947, we are seeing all these things. The Kashmiris are observed Black Day. So what are the hurdles that despite of the resolutions in United States, United Nations, nobody is taking notice and nobody is taking any action against the violation of human rights.
Thank you very much, Nadia, for having me on your show to discuss Kashmir. As we all know, that both Pakistan and India gave their commitment to the international community that they would hold a plebiscite in occupied Jammu and Kashmir or in the erstwhile princely state of Jammu and Kashmir to determine whether Kashmiris would like to join Pakistan or India. Unfortunately, subsequently, India reneged on its commitment, and since then, we are seeing that India has not been forthcoming in order to determine the destiny of the occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Now, India on the 5th of August 2019, as we all know, India moved from occupation to annexation, illegal annexation of the occupied Jammu and Kashmir. And things have become more complicated, if you ask me. India is clearly not in mood to listen to the conscience of the international community, nor is it in mood, apparently, to listen to what the Kashmiris are saying at large. And it is hell bent to further oppress the people of Jammu and Kashmir. Not only that, it is also resolved to change the demography of the occupied Jammu and Kashmir and turn that region from Muslim majority to Hindu majority area. So, putting all these things together, one can say perhaps we in Pakistan and the international community as a whole, we have not been able to exert much pressure on India to compel it to fulfill its commitment to the international community, to the people of Jammu and Kashmir. And now we are seeing that draconian laws are still in place from ESPA to Public Safety Act, disturbed areas, and so on and so forth. Muslims are not even allowed, especially in the valley, to offer their Friday prayers, their Eid prayers. And then, the Hurriyat leadership we have seen during the last 3-4 years. Even
Truly said,
their
Basta. Sorry
variants.
to interrupt you up. I'm sorry to interrupt you. But when you say we were failed and this is our failure or whatever you just name it. So what does mean? I mean, We, when you say we,
I mean,
so what?
yeah, it is, in Pakistan, unfortunately, we do mark these days 27th October, 5th August, 5th February, and 13th July. But the question remains
Hmm.
whether Pakistan has been able to, to put up some pressure on India, to force it. Unfortunately, since I do
We
not
should
see
have forced it to
consistency in our Kashmir policy, there is
consistency is
no
a big issue, probably.
in our Kashmir diplomacy. So hence, in my view, we are losing the kind
Okay,
of,
fine, sir. I
the,
come to you back,
yeah,
sir. I come to you back,
yeah.
sir. Dr. Maria, let us continue where he stopped or where he leave. The thing is that you heard it, that Basis are saying that it has been more complicated by every passing day. And if we make the comparison to the past, so what is the reason, the instead of improving the situation, the things are getting more complicated? So first, are you agree with him?
Yes, first of all, Nadia, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to talk about an issue which is very close to, I think, every Pakistani. But I wouldn't stop in saying every Pakistani, but I would say anybody who is concerned about human rights worldwide, because nowhere else in the world we have seen a partition arrested. It is the 3rd June partition plan, which has ceased to exist in its full, I would say, autonomy, what we had seen in the disputed territory of Kashmir. Because according to the partition plan, the princely states, then princely states, had to decide either they would go to Muslim majority areas, or they would go to Muslim majority areas would either go to Pakistan, or Hindu majority areas will go to India. And after the accession document was to be signed, the most interesting factor was that there was going to be an instrument of accession which was going to be followed by a merger document. And that is how the transition of the states was supposed to happen. But in the case of the Kashmiris, what we saw is this: that once the Kashmiri uprising outbroke, once the people came to know that the Hindu Maharaja had no rights, or no intention of actually giving the state to Pakistan, which was the rightful orientation of the people, since it's a Muslim majority state. But what we saw was that as he came down to Delhi and he came down south of India, we saw India miraculously producing a document to the international community. And then we saw, outbreak of major hostilities. The reason I'm focusing on this history is because it's extremely important. Because following that, it made the international community party to the Kashmir dispute. Because the next step of that partition process was that the constituent assemblies, and in the absence of a constituent assembly, whoever was going to be the referent assemblies in those areas, which were the princely states or the Shura, was going to represent that. But as we understand, half of Kashmir went to India, the other half went to Pakistan. So once the Indians once they went to the UN Security Council, they found out that other than the people of Kashmir, there was no other way to determine what was the right, what were their aspirations. And henceforth, the right of self-determination, which very squarely, squares their rights to freedom, they squares their rights according to the UN Chapter 1, states that anyone who fights for the right of self-determination should be aided morally, politically, economically, and militarily, so that the people get this right. Now, the reason I said this is that UN Security Council became party to it. Once the UN Security Council became party to it, they even linked the International Court of Justice to it, in the case both sides actually moved away from whatever had been decided in 1947, or not to give the right to the people of Kashmir. Then there would be international responsibility different to it. But what we have seen on 5th of August 2019 is that India has annexed this. So they have not abrogated, but they have deoperationalized the Article 370, and then they have annexed it to the using Article 1 and 2 of the Indian Constitution, annexed a territory which is an internationally disputed territory, a territory which never belongs to India. So it is the first case of international legislative terrorism which has been conducted by a modern, progressive Indian parliament. So the bigger question is it really a modern, progressive Indian parliament? Is it a
Exactly.
parliament which is
That is also
disenfranchised
a question,
people or not?
Dr. Maria. That is
So
also,
this
sorry to
this
intervene, but that is definitely also a question, that this is a disputed territory. But again, after the article, like 370, so
5th of August
how?
2019.
Sorry, pardon. Come
I'm
again.
sorry, please. I just said that yes, after 5th of August 2019.
Exactly,
The
after
thing,
5th of August. After 5th of August. So, Indians are not answerable to any platforms. Indians are not answerable to the United Nations. That despite of that resolution, that it is the right of the people, they have to choose. There should be a referendum. This is Pakistan stance. So, what is the reason behind this? I would like to ask you all.
first of all, they are still responsible to the international community because this is not something happening in 2019. It happened something in 1947. There are international parties to this dispute, including Pakistan. And when I say international parties which are responsible for ensuring there is peace and security in the world. The reason for this is because of the Indo-US collaboration. The reason for this is that people believe that there is a trade initiative, and the reason for this is that people actually believe that perhaps the Kashmiris would, once legally disenfranchised, they could be placed into the detention centers, they could be placed into inhuman conditions. But what we have seen is this, that the international media, including the national media of Pakistan, not only raised their voice once these detentions, the right of freedom of movement was taken away from the people of Kashmir and the disputed territory of
Yeah,
India.
they
We
are
saw
having
that there's
a
continuous
people.
process.
They're
So the
having the
reason
support
at
of
the moment
superpower, you
is
can say,
socio-economic,
right? If I'm not wrong.
socio-economic,
If I'm not wrong.
and the
Okay,
rise of Hindutva. Yeah.
ठीक है. Jain sir, Jain sir, I would like to take your opinion basically on this thing that as Dr. Maria described that he's having like he's mean India is having the support of superpower. This could be a one reason, and secondly, which Abdul Basit saab raised that there is no consistency in the policy of Pakistan. So, do you agree with this? That once we talk about the policy against Kashmir or occupied Jammu and Kashmir, so why we see this or why we lack in consistency, sir? If it is true or you agree.
Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Nadia, is a combination of both the reasons that you have mentioned. On one hand, India has been expanding their cloud, their influence in the within the international community, and we see that there are linked interests of the big powers with India too. At the same time, United Nations has lost interest in this issue, and we have never heard anybody talking about it within United Nations because
Exactly.
P5 countries are not concerned about this issue, and they will be concerned only when we will start acting as Basit Sahab was saying. We have failed miserably that we have not been able to pursue this matter internationally, where perhaps we could have gone down and sensitized the international community, their public. We are now totally confined to these few days that we celebrate on various occasions.
Exactly.
Otherwise,
Kashmir Day is
that
a black day.
diplomacy is not there. That diplomacy is not there. Our NGOs are not functional. I mean, human rights issue was such a big issue that even if you do not touch other aspects of Kashmir issue, this human rights aspect could have been blown up, and perhaps we could have gone down to earn the sympathies of the international community for the Kashmiris. Even United Nations Human Rights Organization, they had carried out a study, and ultimately they had requested India to allow them to send a fact-finding mission there, which India did. But we allowed certain people to visit our part of the Kashmir. Now, this was the starting point. This could have been taken up, and we could have gone down and perhaps since tried to mobilize some support from the international community for our stance for the Kashmiri people,
No.
particularly for their human rights. That we did. On the other hand, our part of Kashmir, Azad Kashmir, they are also not much functional. They are also involved in Pakistani politics, and I have seen that the kind of effort which Azad Kashmir people should have been launching, that they
Azad
haven't done.
Kashmir people or Azad
Moreover,
Kashmir
moreover,
Parliament, sir?
Azad Kashmir Parliament. We have an Azad Kashmir Assembly there, and
Exactly.
it should have been a represented. It should have been a representative assembly representing the other part of Kashmir also, the occupied part of Kashmir also. Today we
Hmm.
do not have any assembly in occupied Kashmir.
Hmm.
These people could have capitalized on this situation and given representation to them. They're people who are living abroad. Many people from occupied Kashmir are living in England, and they could have been given membership instead of giving membership to those who had migrated, or their earlier generations had migrated from Kashmir to this place. We have now Valley 1, Valley 2, Valley 3, Valley 5 constituencies.
True.
But these could
True.
have been original. These could have been original constituencies, Srinagar, Baramulla constituency, and original actual people from there could have been given the, and then you could have held the
Definitely, definitely. So these are the steps. These are the steps taken by the Modi regime, Modi government, definitely to hold their to keep their own hold in that occupied Kashmir. So before summing up the this webinar session, Basit sir, just give me a one-liner. How you see the things can be in a better form, and we could have a better position, and we could have the fight for the for our right and for this case
It's,
the
it's
Pakistan.
very simple. As other panelists pointed out, the governments around the world are not responding to what is happening in next Kashmir. Now, what Pakistan needs to do is to inject some verb and energy into its diplomacy, Kashmir diplomacy. We need to reach out to the world, to international civil society, think
Got it.
tanks,
So,
international media,
okay,
in
okay,
order to build, create awareness among the people of the
that is
world.
true. To sensitize
Only then can we build,
international community.
sensitize the
Fine,
people,
sir.
and
Fine.
then
I'm
they
so sorry,
can
sir, that
they
we are running out
yeah
of time. We are
yeah.
running short of time, so I just need a one-liner. Yeah, Dr. Maria, how you see? Plus, the Indian role, the Modi regime, how influenced he is, and he could be or he can be in future. Just one-liner.
I think there is no other regime in the world after Hitler which legally disenfranchised people. This is the first time the Indian Parliament has been used to disenfranchise people. And not only this has been done in Kashmir, it is a continuous process which we have seen in the case of Citizen Amendment Act, and the process continues. We hope that the world actually recognizes what kind of a legal monster they have created in the shape of Modi, which will take away the rights of millions.
Fine. Thank you very much. And Jan sir, just I want to know from your side, the
yes.
citizens of uh,
I think
they have been just
I think
made
it is
slave.
a race against the time. It is a race against the time. We have to recreate the interest of the international community before the Indians they are successful in changing the demographic structure of that part of the Kashmir. It is very important. Once they have changed that, then they may say, okay, you hold the plebiscite here and
Hmm.
let's have the results. So that will
Okay,
be a
fine.
very difficult situation for us to counter.
Thank you very much, Jan sir, for your valuable comments. Basis sir, you also, and Dr. Mari Sultan, thank you very much for all of you. And I'm gonna end this webinar because the thing is that 27 December, this is very important to
Mirza,
celebrate and to thank you very much. And to like as a Black Day and just show the solidarity with the Kashmiris occupied. But the thing is, we need to create more awareness. We need to we need to sensitize the international community, and then we'll be able to fight with them. And we need to show them more solidarity. Thank you very much, and give permission. Allow Nadia Mirza to leave. Thank you very much for watching us.